Hey everyone, this is the Innovator's Mindset with Paul Romanelli. There you go, my guy. My buddy Paul.
What's going on, George?
Hey man, it is awesome to have Paul Romanelli. He's superintendent at West Islip. And I'm going to tell you, I was out there a couple of years ago when you first started. I want to give a little shout out. West Islip, man. I like good people out there. I remember just having a blast with y'all. It was one of my favorite days because Paul is the superintendent. He's new there. You had students opening the afternoon, and the thing I remember the most was t-shirt guns. Right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was a risky move for my first superintendent's conference day, George, but all the T-shirts landed in the proper spaces, I think.
Well, it's funny. Like I remember that distinctly, and there's music pumping, t-shirt guns, and you'd actually watch staff walk in, and they're like, "Are we in the right place? Are we in the right place?" And it was just such a good vibe. I actually, one of the things I distinctly remember, and I want to share this before we kind of get into a little bit about you, was I always suggest this, and y'all did it just so amazingly well. You had a student open the day, and they were talking about, and it wasn't like a student from the past, it was a student in the building, and they highlighted a teacher very specifically about the impact that they made and talked about all the teachers in the room. And before I even started, it was like going to be the easiest day because this student just inspired everyone. And I remember, do you remember that? It was so powerful. And I just thought, like, what a beautiful way to start a professional learning opportunity.
Yeah, it was. We always say our students in West Islip are the best, and I reached out to a bunch of, students, staff, community members over the summer before starting that first day, and heard from one student in particular about their experience in the district, and it was just perfect. I was like, "You've got to come day one and speak to the staff. They have to hear what I'm hearing right now."
Yeah, it was so good, and it was like I'm crying. I'm like, I don't know anybody. Why am I crying? Like this is like it's amazing. So Paul is the superintendent, as I said, at West Islip, just in Long Island. Let's go New York Islanders. That's my team. If you can just tell a little bit about yourself, what you do today, how you got there, great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely, George. I started born and raised on Long Island. Started my career here in Harborfield School District. I was a sixth grade math teacher for about 10 years. Went to school, became a dean. Once I got my administrative degree, I did that for about a year. Moved into an assistant principal position in Plainview Old Bethpage, middle school principal over in Long Beach. And then I moved up to an assistant superintendent for curriculum and instruction in Long Beach within the district. And now I am in West Islip as the proud superintendent here. And this is finishing up my third year.
Yeah, what was it like? All those districts, they're all in Long Island, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And so what's it like kind of, being in that area, growing up in that area, and then being like a superintendent? Because there's a little bit of I know this sounds weird, and maybe I'm totally off. There's like a little bit of a small town feel in Long Island. Like you all kind of seem to know everybody there. Is that, it's like Canada. Like everybody, if you're like in Canada, do you know this person? It's like, yeah, of course I do. They're from Canada, right? Is like, what was it like growing up and now, staying in that same community?
Yeah, it's interesting. I have a little distance, from where I grew up. I grew up in East Setauket, which is more a little further out east in Suffolk County. So I've never worked in that general vicinity over there. Always kind of spaced it out. So I worked in two districts in Nassau County, two districts in Suffolk County, and I kind of I've pretty much been on every road on Long Island at this point. Like all the shortcuts everywhere, but I have not worked in my hometown.
Yeah, well, and I am a little disappointed you're not a big Islanders fan. Like how?
I like the Islanders. I really do. My family. See, I had to kind of break away because my family is Ranger fans, and I started going to Islander games with friends and just really enjoying it at the Coliseum. And I was building up momentum as a fan, at the Nassau Coliseum. And then they moved to Brooklyn, and I haven't gotten to as many games.
Yeah. So when I first came out to your district to West Islip, I remember you were and we talked about this a little bit before. You're pretty new there, like not even maybe like a month or two. I don't even know if you were that long because I think it was November that I joined you all. And now you've been there for a little bit of time. When you first came there, like what was your goal? Like as you're walking in, new community, new role, nobody really knows you. It's 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 post COVID time. So what was your goal as you first came in? Like what was your expectation as you're coming in? What were you trying to do when you first walked into those doors?
Yeah, honestly, starting post-COVID, George, was like perfect. Like in
Yeah.
itself, it was just like a leg up right there because we were starting to come out of all this, really challenging time. And so I feel like it was the perfect opportunity to start in this position. And I'd say, if I had any goals, it was really to start off was to whole first year just to be visible, let everybody know that our goal is, you know, doing what's best for the kids and listening to people. I listened for really the full first year and just learned about the district. And then, started having conversations about things we're doing really well and areas that we might need to improve on.
Yeah, and that to me, I think when you come into like a new, whether it's a principal, superintendent, there's a really, you really kind of want to put your fingerprints on to something, and a lot of times people will come in there and they'll try to change stuff immediately, which I feel gets a backlash. And so one of the things I really appreciate you talking about is that you're like listening to people, kind of understanding who they are, understanding the community, how you can serve them best, because a lot of times they're doing stuff that they are probably really good at that might not be your area, and to just kind of push that aside would be a mistake, right? As opposed to tapping into it and like, hey, this is actually awesome, that this is not something I might be good in, but they're really good at it, but how do I bring that into? So I think that really starts listening. When we were talking before, you're saying there's like a lot of really great stuff going on in the district. What's some of the highlights that you've had over the last couple of years? Some of the things that you've seen that have been really, really powerful.
Oh man. All right. Let me give you a couple, George.
Sure.
I'll do like a top three.
I love it.
First, I would say years since I've been here 3 years, it's perfect. I can give you like a highlight from each year.
So
Um, First year, we worked pretty much the whole year on creating our West Islip profile of a graduate, which, for anyone that has not done that, I really think it's a worthwhile endeavor. I know that New York State has a portrait of a graduate now as well, so it's more out there and people are familiar with the concept. But we did a common book read of the book What Schools Could Be by Ted Dintersmith. We had a film screening, community film screening of the film Most Likely to Succeed, and we started talking about what's important to us in West Islip for students to possess in their time after school and life after school, we call it. And had a lot of those great conversations and developed that profile. I would say also, moving into second year, we have been, I know this is a topic that you love, George, but, have totally been embracing AI in education. We created, rather than going the policy route, we created an AI vision statement, which we have done and posted up on our website. We have a pretty cool stoplight system, that we've been populating where, these are red activities we might not use AI for, yellow, okay, it depends on the classroom and the type of topic. And then the green, like it's all go to use AI, so we have our AI vision statement going on. We just actually made a video on this that we're really, really proud of, just highlighting all the work going on in the district with AI. And we're also just really, I kicked off Superintendent's Conference Day this year talking about the importance of AI and emerging technologies, but also not losing that human connection, because that's really, what drives it all. So that's been our theme, for the past few years. And I would just say that, like George, you talked about, there can be, when you come to a new district, great things going on.
Yeah.
We have an amazing CTE department, career and technical education. They've been doing some amazing things in that department for years. And I would say that just through some of the connections I've made in the first couple of years, just introducing people in the industry, we're currently working with the Maritime Industrial Base to actually build parts that are going to be on U.S. Navy submarines, which we're super excited about. We have a welding lab we have here, and the kids are building this, like building all these amazing different parts and going through the process. They're using a plasma cutter, a torch, the welding booth, and they're then looking at their parts, evaluating them, seeing what they need to go back and fix. So just really excited about all those different things going on.
Like every time I, talk to different schools and just some of the stuff, it's just mind blowing. It's just incredible. And I actually didn't know, we talked a little bit before, and for people that don't know kind of the behind the scenes of the podcast, I'll talk to guests a little bit before, but it's totally off the cuff. I had no idea about the AI stuff. I didn't know what you're doing it to. So I actually pulled it up, some of the stuff that you're doing. So if anyone wants to see it, you can actually see it in the links down below. One of the things that really stood out to me, having that vision statement of like what you're trying to do is you have a focus on, it says parental involvement and support, offer parent training on how to assist students in using AI for learning, promoting open dialogue and understanding different learning styles is essential. Have you and I don't know how far you are into this. What have you seen from like your parents and your family communities about some of the stuff with AI, what you're doing in school?
Yeah, I mean, we hosted an AI parent night,
Yeah.
which was really well received. Sometimes you have parent nights and it's like a rough turnout. I know all administrators have experienced that. Like, you think you have this great idea, but for the AI one, we put it out there, and we capped it at, let's say, like 60 parents, and we filled up right away. So we opened
Awesome.
up a second section that filled up right away, and we had to kind of start doing a couple different sections on at different times. So it was pretty cool. There just seems to be in the community, a desire to learn more about it, and then
Yep.
also see how it's being incorporated in the schools. So good
Yeah,
stuff.
it's funny. It's funny about the parent thing. And when you said that, uh, I and I've this is something I've always struggled with, in the sense that I've talked a lot about technology, the opportunities in front of you. I've done a ton of parent nights on this stuff, and I have a very I don't want to say like a positive outlook, but like a forward thinking. How do we leverage this? And it's always kind of shaped in that way. And it's really hard to get parents there. But if you're like, hey, your kid will be abducted if they go online, those sessions fill up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
If you
Yeah.
scare the crap out of people, they'll show up. But if you're like, hey, let's talk about this. So that's something. So I'm glad that actually supported you. It's funny. I asked you this specifically. I literally just, I sent out a newsletter every Saturday. And the one that I'm working on right now, I actually talked about how, like, a couple ways to leverage AI for like personal growth. So I just started training swimming, and I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to do this. So I basically just threw in ChatGPT, and so I was like, hey, I'm gonna actually do, like, hey, here's a way you can like build workout plans, whatever. And then I saw someone actually say like, hey, here's like to get health. So I'm like, I'm just gonna use this person's. But then I talked about like financial planning, how you'd use AI to do that. And then the third one was I can't remember where I saw it, but it's like, hey, you've got to know me. Where is, like, give me some areas for growth. And it's like, it was like, are you
Oh,
ready
wow.
for this? Yeah. And it was like interesting. But then, and somebody, a teacher reached out to me recently. She said, why wouldn't you just use Google? And she's like asking legitimately, why are you using Google? I said, because it's like a conversational nature. Like, I can kind of like follow up with questions. Like, it says, do this. So, okay, tell me more. How would I do that? Give me some strategies, give me some ideas. And you're using it not to like lay out your plan, but to almost have a conversation so you can kind of figure out your own pathway. And the premise of why I shared what I did is that, hey, I know this doesn't seem educational, but if you use this with teachers in the room, someone's going to think about, their retirement. Someone to think about, like, I need to get my health back in check. And all of a sudden they see value in it for themselves, which makes them more likely want to teach it. But if they just think this is a way for kids to cheat on essays in school, then they're going to hate it, right? But you have to
Yeah.
show that value. So I love that you're bringing in family in. When you did this stuff, how did you build this? And I know I'm like kind of focused on this now because this is obviously an area of interest of mine.
I love it.
How did you how did this come to fruition? Like, how did you build this? Like, I know you well enough. You didn't just sit in a back room by yourself and say, guess what, everybody, right? How did you kind of go about that process?
Well, we have an amazing executive director of technology and innovation, Patrick Kiley Rendon. He runs our district technology committee, and he meets regularly with teachers to talk about, what's going on in their classroom, to pilot different, AI products, things like that, see what people are thinking. And they actually worked on developing this vision statement together collaboratively. Big thing was they put out a survey to the full staff, in the district to kind of get people's opinions on it. And it's interesting because there was like the range of responses was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
wide. It was like
yeah.
some people were like, AI is the devil, and then other people were like, we need to be working on this in our classrooms today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
So big range there, and I think you're absolutely right. I think that people being able to see different examples that are beneficial to them and also beneficial to the students. A lot of time we're using AI as a thought partner. Kids will use it for a lot of brainstorming before they begin writing and things like that.
So when you're talking about this and you're talking about kind of how you brought it together and the vision statement of like where you're trying to go with this, I'm reading a book right now. It's called Super Agency: What Could Possibly Go Right with Our AI Future. And one of the quotes that really stuck out to me is this: you'll never get the future you want simply by prohibiting the future you don't want. And that's, I think, a lot of schools is like, we're going to shut everything down. And it's like, well, that's not, so this is like, you're creating the future you want, which I think is that was one of my highlights. And as soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, oh, this is like totally aligned with that statement. So we are going into the summer. We're going into, and I don't like to call it like summer break, as it's more like summer recovery, right? Right? Is that fair?
Sure. Yeah.
Just like, because, athletes can't play year round or, and it's the same, like you need to recover to come back stronger. What's some messaging you have as people go into this, like into their summer recovery, summer break, whatever you call it? What do you kind of emphasize as people go into that time?
Oh man, yeah. Every going into every summer, it's about, taking time for yourself, reflecting on the year we just had, doing some traveling,
Yeah.
doing some great reading, and bringing back new ideas for the new school year. I have some ideas for this summer coming up, actually. We're going to try to incorporate them in our upcoming, superintendent's conference day to kick off the year as well.
Yeah.
Maybe incorporate some different things people have done over the summer and that day. So it's all about, refreshing and rebuilding for the next year. People have to take time for themselves.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you this: if you can connect with Paul, he is an incredible leader. The district is. I think you're pretty blessed. The district you got too. So I met your people, and they're just absolutely. I remember one of the things I distinctly remember is I connected with some of your staff before I got there, and they were just so welcoming and. They met me outside. Like I actually remember this, and just the welcoming nature. That's the type of place people want to be. So I just thank you for your leadership. Thanks for taking time out of your super busy day to spend some time with me. And I do this selfishly because I just think you're awesome. So I was like, I'm just gonna make them. This is a forced phone call.
I really, really appreciate it, George. It was awesome being here. Great connecting with you always. And anytime I get to spend with you is a good day. So definitely not pressed for time at all.
Well, and hey, anyone listening, you got some good resources. Check out the links down below. I connected the West Islip vision statement, the video that Paul. I actually haven't seen it, so I'm going to watch it as soon as we get off here. So I can't wait to see it. So I hope it's good because everyone's going to be watching it now.
Amazing. You won't be disappointed.
I love it. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. Paul, thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, George.